Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, June 4th, 2026 at 7:05 p.m. And I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on HWCam. And you can pull up the Zoom. But before we get to that, I'm going to start off. I'm going to ask Mr. Tracy to recognize our student government representatives.
Thank you. Throughout the year, we ask a group of students, generally officers in each of the classes, to present at school committee meetings one time a month. And this year we've had 4 students who have been consistently bringing reports, but also behind the scenes, working with their peers to gather information, get it all sorted out, get it organized into a presentation, and then coming here to do the presentation, answer any available questions. So tonight we want to take a moment to recognize those students for their work and thank them for being a part of our team and certainly keeping the school committee up to date on the things that are going on in school. So we have 3 out of the 4 here tonight. We have Anderson Kraft, Colby McGovern, Emmy Pitkin, and not here but was active, Evie Bernard. Anderson. Colby, congratulations. Thank you. You're going to take a full stage. Congratulations. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you all for your hard work. We appreciate it.
So don't go.
Oh. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have an opportunity for citizens' comments. Do we have anybody on the Zoom?
Nope.
Is anyone in the room interested in making a citizen's comment? You sure about that? Okay.
Anyone?
Looks like no. All right, so I will spare you all the information about citizens' comments. It looks like there are none. And we can go ahead and close the Zoom, and citizens' comments are closed. Next up, we have review of our school committee protocols and a portion of our mission statement. To you, Jen.
As elected members of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, we, including the superintendent, accept the high honor and trust that has been placed in us to ensure that the students of the district receive the best education possible. To that end, we hereby commit to the following in the conduct of our business. The school committee recognizes the importance of working collaboratively with town officials and actively seeking their support to improve the district. And then mission statement. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee's mission is to ensure our schools create graduates with a passion for lifelong learning, together with the critical skills needed to maximize their potential. The Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee will lead and inspire a district that is a source of civic pride and municipal engagement to serve the community for generations to come.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, to Eric to provide us with a superintendent report.
Thank you. I'm chasing it around the screen right now. Okay, there we go. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to reach back a little bit and talk about both the candlelight ceremony and graduation. Amazing ceremonies. Candlelight was beautiful. The speeches were amazing. The kids really did a great job stitching the speeches together and creating a really tight connection with the class of 2026. Graduation ceremony, same thing. It was a wonderful ceremony, just under an hour long. 108 students, and it was probably the more interesting graduation I've ever been to, where the kids, at the end, they throw up their hats, and they didn't leave. They all came together and kind of danced around and hugged each other on the floor, which was great to see. It was a really tight group of seniors. We wish them well and good luck in the future. And then last night, I was able to attend the Underclass Awards, and that was at the high school last night. And another great opportunity for us to see students who are up and coming in the district and kids who receive not only departmental awards, but a lot of our juniors received some book awards. The Patent Leadership Award is given out. So a wonderful opportunity for kids in grades 9, 10, and 11 to be celebrated and recognized. It was a nice night last night. This afternoon, I attended the Middle School Junior National Honor Society ceremony. Again, wonderful ceremony, very simple and straightforward, but new group of inductees today, and it'll be exciting to see all that they'll bring to the National Junior Honor Society at the middle school. Number of tournament games going on still, believe it or not. I think this year we had all of our teams head to the tournament. Currently, the tennis team won today 5-0. They'll move on to the Final Four. Boys tennis. Girls tennis will play tomorrow at home at 3:30, and I think they play Hopedale. And then baseball is currently playing, and I'll tell you what the score is in 1 second. We are up 3-2 at the end of the 4th inning. So teams are doing well. Unfortunately, both boys and girls lacrosse lost in their most recent tournament games, but great seasons for both of them. Girls lacrosse went 14-3 on the season. They also received the Cal Sportsman Award. And then boys had quite the turnaround season. They had a tough start to the season. They turned it around, ended up in the tournament. So congratulations to both of those teams for making it in as far as they did in the tournament. And that is about it.
Thank you. Anybody have questions? All right, thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items that they'd like to have pulled from the consent agenda? So I do. I'm going to ask to hold both of the donations. And are you willing to make the motion?
Sure. I move that we accept the consent agenda as written with the exception of the 2 donations.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 4 members present, and the motion passes. So I held both of these because these are both really dramatic, huge grants from the Ed Fund.
No pun intended.
No, no pun intended, exactly. They are both dramatic and dramatic. And I was hoping, Eric, that you might just speak a little bit about them.
Yeah, these are grants, 2 grants that have been in discussion for much of the year, back and forth, trying to figure out what the best approach would be to both of these projects. The lighting project is a continuation of the work that we have been doing, supported by the Ed Fund in the auditorium. As you know, they did a renovation of the auditorium years ago and kind of left some things unchecked. So over the years, the Ed Fund has been, and FOTA have been really good at donating to things like soundboards and lighting changeouts and audio wiring and rewiring. And so this is kind of the next step. Everybody agreed that the lighting project would be the best bang for the buck, and a $450,000 grant for updating our lights, which are desperately needed. We have a number of lights in the theater that don't work. They're just stuck up on the ceiling, and to get them down, you got to take them all down. So this will be an opportunity for us to not only reduce the number of lights we have, reduce the wiring cables that we have. It's insane right now. To a very slimmed down version because of the digital capabilities of all the lights and the low amperage, low wattage lighting fixtures that you can get now for the theater. So this is a big grant for us. The amphitheater has been a dream of Dr. Pape for a number of years, and he has been trying to figure out ways to make this happen. He finally decided to dig into it this year, and going back and forth again with the Ed Fund Committee. He was able to put together a really good presentation to them. They accepted it wholeheartedly and donated the $362,000 to put an amphitheater in. And for people who have been to the back of the high school, if you're looking at the back of the high school between the science wing and the athletics section, there is a little curved-in section. It will naturally fit into that section of the back. There's two places it could have ended up, but we believe it's going to be in that section. So thank you to the Ed Fund. These are both amazing grants for the district. We're looking at over $800,000 plus the hundreds of thousands of dollars they continue to donate throughout the year to benefit our teachers and our students in the classrooms.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on either of those?
No, this is amazing.
Okay. All right, can we have a motion?
I move that we accept the 2 donations as presented.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? And that is unanimous of the 4 members present, and the motion passes. Amazing work to the Ed Fund and to all the teachers and staff that organize the complexities of getting both of those grants written. Okay. Next up, we're going to hear about the strategic planning.
Yeah, you got it.
On the draft.
Yeah.
We're going to talk tonight about our strategic planning process that we started. And first and foremost, we want to say thank you to 29 of our community members who were part of this process. We had 10 community members, 10 parents, and 9 faculty and staff who met with us over the course of 3.5 months, starting in February, reaching into May for evening meetings, and it was a really nice process to be able to have lots of varied perspectives in the room and lots of different ideas and thoughts. So this went a little bit longer than we intended it to, but we really felt like the work was the conversations and the work was so deep and so rich, it was worth taking a little bit of extra time. So we just wanted to say thank you to the committee.
The strategic plan for us, this is our second since I've been superintendent. We started with a 3-year strategic plan, and this time around we decided to lengthen it up, make it a 5-year. But it's a system of high leverage goals and strategies that are designed to drive continuous improvement within the district, across the district. Not only each year, but over this 5-year period. And what you'll see is the committee talked a lot about further out. We were talking about 2050, which isn't that far away when you think about it. The work was really made up of representatives from every stakeholder group within the community. We had people who have had kids in the district 30 years ago, and we've had a number of staff members, people who were involved in some of our government groups, and it was really nice to hear some of the perspectives, but also for them to dig into some of our data to see the reality. The work was really grounded in district data. We gave them hundreds of documents that we compiled for them and they analyzed throughout this process, which helped us to build an honest picture of the district and where it stands now and where we need to grow. And this was really trying to connect the 2 strategic plans. The previous one, there was still some unfinished business, so we were able to dig into that. And that was our starting point, say, okay, what's finished? What's not finished? And then how can we pull some of that into the next level of strategic planning? The initiatives are really a good connector for each of our focus areas, and you'll see that as we present it. They'll present, the initiatives will connect to goals over the years. So some of these initiatives, just like a number of the things that we've worked on, will be multiple years long. And then the idea of the strategic plan is to make it a living document. We talked a lot with this group about monitoring it along the way, which is something we were trying to figure out. And Jen and I think we decided on bring the group back around at the end of a year and say, okay, let's look at it. Where are we going? What do we need to adjust and tweak? The final plan we're hoping to have publicly accessible by the start of the school year, and then we'll continue to be honest about the work, challenge ourselves, we'll challenge our course, and make adjustments as we learn and grow about the strategic planning.
So in thinking about the components of a strategic plan, the 4 boxes on the left, our mission, vision, core beliefs, and our portrait of a learner are really who we are and what we believe as a district. And these anchor a multi-year roadmap that of every initiative that we have in the district, from our early planning stages all the way through implementation. So we spent some time as a committee really thinking about our mission, which is together we inspire continuous learning in order to lead a purposeful life. Our vision, which is what we want students' future success to be, is that they will engage the future with creativity and confidence. And our core beliefs, which we established 5 years ago as a strategic planning committee: passion for learning, belonging, inclusivity, curiosity, partnerships, and integrity. And lastly, our portrait of a learner, those 6 competencies that we are really seeking to help our students be able to apply what they've learned in our classrooms, in their classrooms and beyond. So those are adapt and persevere, to empathize, to learn for life, to communicate, collaborate, and think critically. So those 4 foundational pieces were what we started with, what we really made sure that everyone in the room understood, why they existed, and we wrestled with them a little bit. And then we really spent our time thinking about these components on the right: the focus areas and strategic objectives, our strategic initiatives and strategic outcomes, and our responsibilities, timelines, funding, and monitoring pieces of the plan. So we'll walk through that a little bit more today.
When we initiated this process, we talked to the committee and discussed the kind of the backbone of where this work will come from, and the majority of it comes from the DESE strategic planning framework. Jen and I have been through this process before. We went through it with a consultant last time and really took some pieces of that puzzle and some stuff from the DESE framework and built out a framework that we felt fit the district more cleanly. But there are 3 phases. We still use the same 3 phases. We analyze the context, so looking at all the data collection, data sources, and then looking towards the future and analyzing that data and creating a direction, and then drafting and implementing the plan, which was fascinating when you start to watch 30 people try and iterate these documents that we would bring back and forth on giant-sized pieces of paper, and they're writing on them and they're putting stickies on them, and then we had to bring it back and recapture it so that we could bring it back to the next meeting. And it was quite the process, but everybody was involved. There was some great ideas and really some great opportunities for us to learn and grow as well.
So our first phase really did involve a lot of data. We were really trying to analyze our current context, like where are we now as a district? So we spent some time looking at our plan that's ending this spring. We really used data to orient our team members, and we divided ourselves into self-based interest groups, basically, of a community and culture group, an academics group, and a finance, budget, and capital group. And we had 3 sets of data for those groups to analyze. These included things like survey results, budget documents from both the district and both towns, goals reports for the last 5 years of our district goals, Student Opportunity Act data and accountability data from DESE, state of the facilities reports that we've recently published, our enrollment data, our class size data, just all those things that come together to form and really create a picture of our district. So these groups dove into these sets of data and synthesized those to really think about what are the overall pieces where this leads.
The synthesis process was really fascinating for me to watch people who probably didn't understand initially a lot of the things they were looking at, so trying to acquaint them and acclimate them to school district data and helping them to understand what it represented. And then bringing in kind of the whole group to identify these broad themes, as Jen said, like facility, infrastructure, future-ready curriculum, inclusivity, and then some school-level focus areas as well. The themes really blossomed quickly, but we had to kind of rein it in, and we were trying to control it. But the themes ultimately came down to 4 focus areas, which we'll present in a minute. And then all of these priorities, these focus areas, kind of the big umbrella, had to be defined. So we spent, I think, a meeting and a half, maybe almost 2 meetings, just trying to define those focus areas so that they met the incoming data assimilation and all of the thoughts that we had about what the future should look like. And then really trying to integrate modern priorities, modern district priorities, AI strategies, long-term master planning, and then some deeper stakeholder engagement, which came up quite a bit through the process. One of the things you'll note on this is, and I just pointed out quickly only because in the middle of this, it talks about strategic spokes, and that's even an idea of how the language changed as we walked through the process. We honed the language down and made it match how we felt our district would be represented. So you'll see the shift in a second.
So as Eric said, this is a really iterative process. We would start with one plan, go through a meeting, think we knew where we were going exactly, but we really decided that we needed time to have those rich conversations. Everyone in the room brought a different perspective, whether they graduated from the regional many years ago, whether their children did that, whether they work there today, or whether they're just a community member now that have never attended the regional. It was really valuable to have time to kind of wrestle with some of the things we were thinking about and to make sure that all ideas were surfaced and heard and captured. So we did a lot of work where one group would start with a focus area and try to define it, and then rotate a new group in to work and build on the group of the previous. We went through several sticky notes. We went through lots of chart paper, lots of markers, even had some printed posters that we were working on, really to try to make sure that I used voice to text, but I think I took about, I don't know, maybe 150 sticky notes that were collected one evening on everyone's main ideas to capture and start to categorize what is it that we were seeing that was unfinished business of our work currently, and where did we need to go with that in the future. So we really took time to go from the large discussions to the smaller pieces, and trying to make sure that all the voices in the room were heard.
Connecting the dots for the committee was an interesting process because, again, a lot of the members were not familiar with school terms. So we spent quite a bit of time really just acclimating them to the million acronyms that occur in school districts, MCAS and DOE and DESE and all of the things that suddenly come at you. And once we were able to do that, we really settled on 4 elements that make up our plan. And the greater umbrella is the focus area. And we'll show you what our 4 focus areas are in a minute. But those are broad areas. They really are places that we want to specifically look as we develop the strategic plan moving forward. And they really support the mission, vision, core value, portrait of a learner piece as we move forward through this process. Under that are strategic objectives, and they're a really strong component by connecting the elements together, but also defining the focus areas. We spent, I forget how much time, but a lot of time iterating the focus areas and trying to connect the dots for people so that they were clear, but also gave us enough, they were broad enough to give us some latitude to plug in through the years where we may miss something, because, readily admit that we did not get everything we wanted in here yet, and that stuff will come. And then under the strategic objectives, there are the initiatives, the things that we'll do. What are we moving towards to meet that objective? And then under that are really the outcomes. What's the product? What do you see at the end of first year or second year or all 5 years? The strategic focus areas and the base objective statements are here right now. In the 4 areas of facilities, operations, and long-term planning, communications and stakeholder engagement, academic excellence for all students, and future-ready digital instruction and infrastructure and learning. These are really broad categories purposefully because we need to capture so much underneath these categories. I'll use future-ready digital infrastructure and learning as an example. When you start to look at all the things that would fit under there, we were trying to figure out how to start to recognize, understand, and develop some guidelines around AI, but also the infrastructure behind it. What types of goals will we need to keep up with the structural pieces like the servers, the software, and any of the safety issues that we need as we move forward. And then it goes all the way into training, like helping staff members and being committed to purposefully training staff members to know and understand what's coming at us along the way, and then passing that along to kids and helping them to figure out appropriate ways to integrate AI into their world. It's happening already. Our phones are already converted in our pockets when we weren't looking. So there's a lot coming at us in this realm, so we wanted to try to tackle it along with the current goal that you'll see next meeting for the AI stuff that's coming, but also what that looks like moving forward towards the future. One of the problems we all recognize is the speed at which things are changing in the technology area, and then the reality of screen time with kids came up a lot, and talking about how to find balance, or even gradually increase or decrease technology use at various grade levels. For example, very limited at, say, K and 1, and then as kids get up into high school, they start to use it more and integrate it into their day-to-day. So what are the next steps? Leadership team has begun to review it. We'll continue to look at it. We need to add timelines in. The timelines are a little bit tricky because we're trying to connect all the initiatives in the plan that you have before you tonight through that 5-year thread to see, there are some things that might be 1 year, and there are other things that'll be 2, 3, 4, or even 5 years. Who's responsible is a big piece of the puzzle, trying to make sure we can align things that, academic excellence. There are a number of things that will fall under the realm of Jen and her people in the teaching and learning piece, but then there's also parts of that will fall under the principals, the curriculum leaders, the coaches, and things like that. And then once we get those things done, we'll bring it back for final school committee approval, assuming in that first meeting in August, actually the only meeting in August, but looking for a final approval. We'll also do some of the graphic design work. For those who remember the previous strategic plan, the graphic designer actually took it and dressed it up, made it more public facing, so we'll do that and have all of that stuff ready to publish a final at the start of the school year, so that we can go into the school year with our new strategic plan as we designed it. Jen will take any questions that you have. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Questions? So thank you very much for that. I have a sort of I'm not sure that I don't know really what my question is, but as I read it, Eric knows I have sort of some concerns about the technology aspect, the digital literacy, and so this is a sort of a in the weeds question a little bit, but it says on the, not on this presentation, but on the document that you gave, that is on the second exhibit, I think, it talks about the full implementation of the K through 8 technology instructional sequences, meaning that they'll, be creating digital literacy from K through 8. And I have a concern about what that looks like, and I know we're supposed to be way up here, not in the weeds. But I guess my concern is that necessarily teaching digital literacy in kindergarten would necessarily involve digital learning in kindergarten, and I'm
So
not sure.
I would say we already do that. So we do have digital literacy standards, K through 12, that we're responsible for teaching students in the state of Massachusetts. And ideally, our students are receiving instructional technology support in their library media classes, but it's really, the goal is to be age appropriate and developmentally appropriate. So we are not having kids on iPads all day long. We're thinking about how do we learn to use technology as a tool appropriately, depending on where kids are in their years. Digital literacy is actually one of our accountability measures through the state of Massachusetts, and it's something that we, in the past, have struggled with as an accountability point. And I would say we also see that rising, especially in our middle school, where we haven't had a digital literacy curricular component, and we're really thinking about, and that's why that says K to 8, how do we ensure that students through middle school have adequate instruction on digital citizenship, on informational technology, on how verifying that what they're reading is real, like those really basic skills that are so vital now that haven't always been part of our coursework. And also, on the flip side, how to respect a Chromebook that you're using and ensure that you're using it properly and not damaging it quickly. You know, like technology is so broad, and as Eric said, it's moving so quickly that we are committed to make sure that it is the appropriate use for technology with the age of the child. But we also know that our students are assessed digitally starting in 3rd grade on MCAS. So we want to make sure that we're not setting kids up for frustration by not having them exposed to enough screen time. We've seen that before, and we want to make sure that they have the skills they need to show what they know through this tool. So I understand your concern, and I would also say we have a device progression that we're trying to really think carefully about when devices are available to students, what type of devices make the most sense for students. Technology it's not the shiny thing that we're trying to capture. It's really a vital tool that we're all using. As Eric says, we've got our phone in our pockets. And we want to make sure we give students those foundational skills to be able to use them responsibly.
Thank you. And I did want to say, I don't have the right thing pulled up right now, but in that, I liked the part about sort of getting curious about device progression. I liked that part because I felt like it did open the idea to, just for full disclosure, I personally really question whether our littlest learners need any screen time, any device time at school. And I know that our seniors in high school absolutely have to be entering the world digitally literate. So I want to say I did appreciate that idea, that it felt like when I read it, it had some curiosity and flexibility around looking at what is the proper device progression.
That's
Is that
always
correct?
been our approach is thinking about the progression. I wouldn't say we always have the progression right, but we've done some work to try to think about that. And I would say what you're seeing kids work on in classrooms, if you were to be in a primary classroom, is there's a lot of technology used as an instructional tool by the teacher, not necessarily by the student. All of our resources right now are digital. So we also have teacher manuals that our teachers use, but they rely heavily on slides or just for their own organization, not necessarily for students to be using devices, but to make sure that they are moving through their day at a pace and sharing information efficiently for themselves. So we have a lot of technology in our buildings, and we want to really make sure that we're using it to the most efficient way and the most effective way to make sure that when kids leave our schools, that they have had a foundation of learning. I'm going to keep pushing that responsibility piece, because that's where I hear a lot of discussions around how students are using technology responsibly is something that I think we can always improve on.
It was also one of the areas, and Jen will remember this night, when we had these giant posters out and we had people iterating. The technology area was where it was, people were like, no, we don't want this. And then somebody else would come over and say, oh, no, we need this. And then somebody else would come over and go, we don't really need this, but we might need this. So it was literally, the page was covered with stickies. And so people are passionate about it. In the realm of technology, schools will always be behind. We just can't afford to stay ahead. So for us, it's really trying to keep our heads above water and give our teachers the skills that they need, which, we don't do a great job with right now, and I think it's an important piece of this strategic plan is to be purposeful about what we want to help our teachers to know and understand. Because there's always the early adopters who are on board, who've been doing it for 3 years now, and then there's others that are like, no, thank you, I don't want anything to do with it. So it's really helping to find that middle ground as we grow this through the years. And it could change as well. You could see there are some things at the State House now that could come out and say, screen time is here, here, here for particular ages. So we'll keep an eye on that stuff as well.
Yeah, I would say that AI focus area really reflects heavily on professional learning. Like, I think that is the basis of what
Yeah.
we're talking about, is making sure that we understand what are the implications of AI when a student's using it, or what do we need to teach them about when to use it or when not to use it? What do we need to understand about all these tools? Google is great at making changes, and we've seen this year, like, wait, something just changed. How do we adapt to that? Like, there are things happening so quickly that we need our professional learning to match that pace.
How is the high school gonna police, high school and middle school, because I don't see this being as much of a problem in the elementary school. How are you gonna police AI use? Because at the college level, it's really hard.
Struggling.
Yeah, it's hard for us as well already. I mean, that's one of the conversations. You could bring Bob Hickey down here, the curriculum leader for the high school, and he'll tell you the same thing. I live with an English teacher. We talk about it a lot at home, and it is messy. But the good thing is our staff members can tell the difference pretty quickly. We still do a lot of on-demand writing and on-demand stuff, which is helpful for teachers to get a baseline, and they can then have those conversations. And again, looking at it from the perspective of how can we teach kids to manage these tools, these superpower tools, appropriately in school and out of school. I mean, the use of AI in school is very different than the use of AI out of school, especially given the pace that some of these experiential AIs are coming out. So things like manipulating videos and creating, a walking, talking bot of yourself that's perfect is literally happening right now. So those are all danger zones for us that we have to kind of keep in line. It is going to be hard to keep up in schools. And in some ways, it's more of like, okay, what do you want to manage? We work under the Google umbrella that we can control fairly well. So staying within those boundaries is helpful, especially for the younger kids. And shutting it down completely for elementary kids is always, kind of a best step, I guess, because they're just not using that type of technology in classrooms.
I have questions about, like, this is so great, especially the other exhibit that wasn't on the screen. I would be interested in seeing some really specific examples of how you would implement some of these ideas, like, potential lesson plans or articles. I echo what Jen had to say. We're having a hard time in higher ed with AI. So I think also it's interesting to consider teaching the value of learning. I feel like just looking at what I see in my own home from what's happening at school, there's a lot of gamification of learning and kind of checking the box because it's digital. And so I think it's this perfect storm of that plus AI is like, oh, I put it in here, check the box, it's done. So thinking about and talking to students about the science of learning, like how information stays with you and why it's important to gain it on your own rather than just take it from, as, I don't know, all the age levels we're talking about, that'll be interesting too, but I think that would be something I'd be interested in seeing in here as well.
The balance for us has been the portrait of the learner. I think if you went to graduation and you walked down the hall, all of the seniors each created their own portrait of them as a learner and talked about in these posters. There's one for every kid on the wall there. They talked specifically about their learning, and there's a lot of conversation about learning. I mean, you can walk to a teacher's door and it'll say, I'm so-and-so and this is how I learn best. So that has been kind of an ongoing growth conversation, partially driven by NEASC, but partially driven by these issues that we're confronting now. Like, how do you help kids and adults to understand that learning has taken so many different forms, but then thinking about it deeply, and our kids think deeply about it, which I think gives them an advantage when they leave. We do get a lot of feedback from colleges. When kids go off to college, they come back and they're like, I had to do this paper, it was 15 pages long, it was no problem, and all the people in my class were like, how'd you learn how to do that? So I think our teachers are really working hard to keep kids kind of within those realms of the in classroom learning and understanding their learning, understanding how they learn best, and now we're seeing them communicate about how they learn. So that'll start rolling down to the middle school and continue to go down, which is part of this plan hopefully over the next few years.
I would just add, going back to Jen's question, we don't know the answers, and that's why this needs to be a focus area.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was hoping you had a magic bullet.
I know, where's the answer?
We'll share though.
I think the ethical piece too is really important. I know you touched on like digital citizenship but also when I consider AI in my classroom, I think about, I get a lot of pushback from my students, like they don't want to use AI from an ethical standpoint, both like intellectual property and environmental concerns. So I think that also needs to be part of this conversation and how we address that with students. And I don't know the answer. That's a really, really tricky one.
And it's also a function of change.
Yeah.
You know, a student coming into kindergarten now, by the time they graduate, boy, like that will be so very different along the way. For us to be able to manage that through the years and to learn and grow with that, we've done a ton of work with the HQIM, high quality instructional material, the integration that Jen's done with her team. Those pieces of the puzzle are all helpful in growing these learners that, you know, if you go into our 5th grade classrooms and you watch what our kids are writing about and how they're writing, it's very different from when I took over 5 years ago. And I am not taking credit for that. I'm just saying, like, it is very different because of the work that's being done in the classrooms. It's focused, it's consistent, and it's consistent from school to school. So all pieces of the puzzle as we build this out.
It's tough, yeah. Thank you.
Right, I have one more, I'm sorry. So this is kind of just a general question. I guess maybe it falls under the academic excellence focus area, but I'm not sure. I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I think Jen already mentioned this kind of throughout, I think there's a lot of accountability specifically to the district and to staff. And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about your thoughts around student accountability, like taking ownership of their, I mean, that's a little bit of what Amy was just talking about, like them learning about their learning, but I'm sort of looking kind of where you see student accountability or how you see that, or does it fit in here?
Yeah, it connects right back to the portrait of learner. Starting to grow this process of having kids understand what they're doing, but now moving it down. So remember, the curriculum over the last 5 years has been kind of moving up. We're into the middle school with updates. Portrait of learner stuff is moving down. All of this is happening, I think, right at the right time, as the state will this summer release the graduation expectations for graduates, and we will be right there at the front of the pack. So I think part of the expectations for kids and the accountability comes at the state level, but kind of, as the superintendent, kind of the least of my worries, I like to see the accountability in the classroom and what kids are doing in the classroom day to day, and to see the, walk around the building, see their work and see what they're doing in the community, and going to events like the Underclass Awards and seeing what kids are doing that's connected to school is really a testament to how their kids are really starting to connect the dots. So, and there are all kinds of initiatives going on. The no cell phone initiative was huge. So that was an accountability feature that really put kids in the face of other kids, having great conversations. It's been different in the classroom, it's been different in the hallway. So those things will continue to be discussed along the way. And as you know, this kind of overarching plan, each year we'll develop a set of goals and look at all of those pieces as we build it out.
Great. Anybody else? Thank you. And thank you to all the people that worked on the on the committee getting that done. Okay, so next up we have on our agenda is the superintendent evaluation. So it actually says superintendent evaluation and vote, but I think that we sort of talked a little bit about last time, particularly where Julia, Julia created this document. She was the compiler. She's not here. What was I going to say? And, I mean, I'm open to the committee's thoughts, but I think what we talked about last time was reviewing this in this meeting, creating some feedback, if any, for the compiler, and then bringing it back to the final meeting for approval. Is that what other people's understanding was? Okay. So traditionally, the way that we've done this is that we've read it out loud, and usually we have the compiler read it. The compiler is not here. I'm open to what the committee wants to do in terms of going through this. It is very small, but I'm sure we can remedy that. You know, about what people want to do, about how people want to go through this. It's obviously a really important part of what we do. So, thoughts?
Well,
Okay.
I have a thought. I mean, I kind of forget how we did this last year. We read through it.
Traditionally, what we've done is we've read one section.
Yeah.
And then discussed if anyone felt like there was any feedback or edit that they felt like they needed or clarification. And then we moved forward through the, you know, all of the document. So, I mean, we can do that. I mean, typically, if you were going to do it in that way, you would probably actually start with standard 1, do the standards, and then go back up to the top and read the final, you know, that's how I would approach it, but I'm open to other people's thoughts.
I feel like, because there's, just reading through it, it feels very, I can't think of the right word. There doesn't seem to be a lot of disagreement.
Right.
I know in the
Correct.
past when we've discussed this, it was because like one person or another didn't feel like all of their input was included or disagreed with the overall sentiment.
Right, and I think we heard that from Julia last meeting.
Yeah.
Julia sort of said she felt comfortable not being here because she didn't feel like that there was a lot
wide
of
range of feedback.
that was her feeling, but it's important for the members to sort of say what they think. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm hearing you say maybe you don't feel like we need to read the whole document. Is that
I'm
what
kind of feeling that way, yeah, but the only thing that when I read this, I just want to make sure, I think you've said this before too, that this document is useful for Eric as far as next steps and things to work on in the future. So I don't know if that's like a place where we could focus in order to have a discussion, or if we all just say like, yeah, looks good.
Are we required to read it out loud? I thought we were.
No, I don't
think so.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a public document. Right now, it's marked as a draft. We're discussing it. We've traditionally read it out loud and gone through it. You know, I will say, I mean, I can just speak to that. The only comment I had was that we haven't usually included who said which quote in the document, and this one does. I don't think that's good or bad. It's just different. I didn't have any concerns about this particular document, this compiled document, and the way that the quotes were used. I could imagine if a future document, if there was, say, one dissenting voice, you wouldn't necessarily want, I mean, the idea behind the document is that we're going to vote on it. If it were approved, this is the evaluation that the committee is providing to the superintendent. So in some ways, the way this is written, and other people can say whether they agree, but the way this is written, it's sort of like there's a statement, and then member quotes are used to illustrate that statement. And I think that works, and I think it's appropriate. My concern would not be about this document. My concern would be about setting a precedent that we always named people. I would be concerned. I think sometimes you might just want to say 5 members, or most members said this,
Yeah.
and 2 members,
Didn't.
said something different, like that. That would be my thought. And I said that I provided that feedback to Julia already. But it doesn't, I don't see it as needing necessarily to be changed. It was just something I wanted to bring. So I think it's more important to talk about content. So like, do people have concerns that something that they felt like needed to be highlighted or called out is not represented here? Do people feel like things in here don't represent something that that you want to discuss, that you're concerned about? Do you
I don't think so.
have concerns other than the fact that it's very tiny? Okay. Well,
Maybe I can help.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In reading this, I think the pieces that jump out at me is, and when you're leaning into areas of growth, they tend to ring the bell of accountability, consistency of implementation, and then really reporting these outcomes maybe more often. It sounds like that's the only thing I was unsure of. Is that what the committee's looking for, more often, or that would be a helpful clarification? And then, what was the other one? There was one other piece that was the stakeholder engagement piece. I think will probably be addressed with the strategic plan, but any other, I'm always looking for ways to update and change engagement. I think if people are specific, that will be helpful, and surely we'll dig into it a little more too with our new communications piece on the committee, but also across the district. So I think those are the things that jumped out to me as what the committee was looking for in future areas of growth. So that's helpful for me to set goals, and any more specificity is even more helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't give a lot of specifics. It does say, encourage continued efforts to strengthen broad-based stakeholder engagement and to maintain consistent communication across all constituencies. And I think Eric is accurate that we've certainly discussed challenges around both of those areas. All right.
Okay.
So, again, the plan is not to vote this evening. But also the plan wasn't to spend a tremendous amount of time on it at our next meeting. So I guess I'm hoping that people will feel it. I'm not hearing people feeling like, and David, feel free to chime in, I know, but like if you have, if people have feedback that they want to provide, not so much, yes to Eric, and also to Julia about the writing. It needs to happen sort of either now or between now and the next meeting. Okay. All right, we'll bring it back on the next meeting for a vote.
I think it's a good idea.
All right, thank you. And thank you to Julia for doing that work, and thank you to everyone, including Megan, for doing those individual evaluations. Okay. Amy,
Yes.
Do you have any updates for us on the communication working group?
So it's a work in progress. Julie and I have spoken a little bit. I've reached out to MASC for guidance that I'm kind of waiting to hear back on. I've reached out to the editor of the HW newspaper to see how we could potentially leverage the newspaper to get some messaging out. And I've been looking at other school committees and how they use similar working groups that are more flexible. So we don't have like specific protocols in place yet. I think that's the goal, so that if something comes up that we want to communicate about, it's very clear what we're allowed to do and how we will do it. So unfortunately, I don't have a very solid update, but we are working, and so we're planning on kind of taking advantage of the summer as well to really have really a specific document about the group. Or, yeah, it's a group.
It's a very small group.
Very small group.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Amy?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about outside group to kind of reach out to if you need?
We haven't, actually. That's something that we would probably like to talk with
Yeah, I
you
was gonna
about.
say, I have a couple if you want.
Great,
to-
okay.
That have reached out to me in the past couple of years that other school districts
Oh,
and
that's perfect.
committees use.
Would love that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next up is school start times, and a lot of additional information. I have notes. All right, go ahead, Eric.
So this is really an opportunity, as promised when we did the initial presentation, to just give you more information. And we're not going to go through it tonight. There's massive amounts of information here, but I wanted you to have all the information as we move towards the discussion phase so that you could have time to review it. So this is on this on this agenda to make the messages and the information public, so that you all have access to everything we have, and so you can review it, so that when we move towards a discussion, which I believe we'll do during the workshop, the school committee workshop, we'll dedicate part of that to that discussion, and really build upon working towards a decision, what we do next. So really not a lot of anything asking for you to do tonight, because there are hundreds of pages of documents here, but I just wanted you to have everything as promised, so that you can read through it. And then you have one document at your seat. It was a letter that was written by 3 students that I thought was important to include. So I just didn't want to put it out there publicly yet. I just figured you could take a look at it.
Eric, can I just ask some, this is
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
make sure I understand what each one of
Yep.
these exhibits is, because
Sure.
I had a question, and I'm not diving into the content. I just want to make sure I understand. The first exhibit is this is an FY '25 survey?
This was an original survey when I think Jen and Dave Frankel asked about it.
Yeah, so I just want to make
originally.
sure, because that, I understand, so so there's a family, a parent and guardian, that first one is like parent and guardian
Yep.
from FY '25.
24-25 school year, yep.
But then if you look, I just want to, if you don't mind just running through,
Okay,
make sure I
yeah.
understand each one of this, then the next one is also from FY
The fall.
'25.
Yep, it
Okay,
was
so
the
that's from the
fall.
fall,
Yep.
okay. And then, because we have a later on, well, let's just go through, because we'll get to the, and then you have the family feedback,
Mm-hmm. The report.
that's from FY '26, correct?
Current.
That's
Yes,
this-
that's current.
This spring.
So anything that says feedback on the final recommendation as
Okay.
a title, those are the surveys we sent out after we
Okay.
made the recommendation to the committee. As promised that night, we followed up with surveys to just get some feedback on the recommendation that ultimately came from the committee.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because it's like we have family, from some information from FY '25, and then we have family information from '26, and then teacher, staff information from '26.
Yep.
Okay,
And then last two exhibits are flipped. They should be the student one first, which is the student response to the actual
Yeah.
recommendation. And then Craig wanted me to include the impact on athletics so that people could actually see the data we were looking at.
Yes, I have I see what you're saying. I actually have a question about that, too.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually.
So I don't know, I have a question about just, and again, I'm not going to talk about what it, like the details of it, I just want to make sure I understand it. So this represents, I'm looking at the late start impact on athletics.
Yep.
So this represents if the plan were put into place and the students are being dismissed 1 hour later, this represents the estimate number of dismissals that would
Correct.
be, says none of this represents what are the current number of dismissals that happen because of sports.
Correct.
And then, maybe I'm being,
The current number of dismissals
but
is,
what is PR time?
let me answer the first one. The current number of dismissals is pretty limited because it's generally based around tournament time. Like,
Right.
the track team had to go to Forever Town,
Yeah.
and it takes 3 hours to get there, which just happened to them.
I think someone's going to Bourne.
Yeah, no, they did
But
yesterday.
that's usually
Yeah.
only in the.
Yeah, so they leave
in
early, but
the
it's tournament time. But
tournaments, not usually.
then same thing, like golf will have their final rounds. They'll start earlier because they're dependent on when the golf courses will let them. But, so not a ton, but there'll be a lot more
Okay.
from here if we were to move in that direction. What was the other one?
Well,
PR?
I don't know what PR time, maybe I'm, PR time.
Practice time missed.
Oh, practice time missed. So wait,
So he's looking at fall sports based on timing, lighting. So all of a sudden, you're getting an hour later start. It
So-
gets darker faster in the fall.
okay, so I just want to make sure, so that.
guessing.
Right, no, I guess, so but the estimate here would be like, for the first one, that there would be 20% less
Mm-hmm.
practice time for JV boys soccer, is that what that means?
I'm not sure I buy that. That would mean an hour is 20% of their practice time.
Depends, I
Or-
suppose it depends on the sport, yeah.
So 5 hours is 100% of their practice time, and I don't know of any soccer team at Hamilton Wenham that practices for 5 hours a day.
No, but it depends on, so practice in September is easier to pull off if a kid starts at 3:30, say. If they get out at 3:10, they would start at 3:30, 3:45, than in October, because it gets darker faster. And I think he was trying to figure out how to account for that. So it's hard to look at it over the scale of a season because it gets darker the further you go into the season. So football loses out because they're still practicing in late October and everybody else is done. They lose even higher percentages when you start to look at it. But because of the way it's spread out, they start earlier. So I think he was trying to come up with averages across that time span for a season, not daily. It'd be easy in September to get out there at 3:30 and still get a couple hours of daylight. And practices range between 2 and 3 hours generally, sometimes
Yeah.
longer.
Okay, I think I don't have any more questions about, I know other people have questions about just knowing what everything is, and. Did everyone else know what PR time was? I
No.
was like, I
No.
don't know what that is.
He presented it, so we got a different view.
Presented time.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it was present, yeah. He presented it to the committee, so.
oh, okay. Thank you for all that.
For your reading pleasure.
I noticed in some of the documents, there were comments that were hidden. Is there any way to get those comments in a separate document? Because a couple of them really show, I don't know if it's a biased, like sampling or not.
It was generally where teachers' names may have been used or coaches' names may have been used, and sometimes something that was not complimentary.
Can we redact the names and give it to us anyways?
Yeah, I have 'em, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, MSBA project.
Okay, as we know, the roof project is was approved at town meeting and at the ballot, so we are moving forward currently with a target kickoff date of June 22nd, which is the Monday after school gets out. The company, the OPM, Curtis and I have been going round and round and trying to figure out all the logistics. Vinny will start to take over from the money side, but this is a standard form that comes from the MSBA, and it's called the PFA, and it's a project funding agreement, which basically says, yes, we agree to take on this project, pay for it in the way that we've outlined. There's a couple of things, and you can see in the letter, there's a couple of things that they will look for, including a signature, and the person who signs has to be authorized by the school committee. So tonight, there's one vote, and you have the motion. There's one vote for authorization for me to sign this funding agreement. We've signed them before when we were going into the elementary school project. But this one is actually for a project that is moving forward. And then once we vote, we'll send the minutes from the meeting to our attorney, and our attorney has to verify that we are, that the district, the local governing body, meaning the school committee, is able to authorize the district to enter and be bound by the PFA. So Mark Terry would handle that for us. I talked to him already. He's just waiting for this vote. We'll send him the result. He'll write his piece, and then we'll send the documents plus the PFA signed to the state, and then we'll move forward with the project. There's also other documents that are behind this that you don't see that are like our banking information. So there's a form that Vinny fills out that has to go in, but it outlines our direct deposit, how money gets moved from ProPay from the state to us, and the reimbursement, how the reimbursement system works. And our OPM handles a majority of that, and then Vinny manages the money. So we do have a motion,
Yeah.
and for the vote, if you want to.
Yeah, do you want to start us off with a motion? People can
I
ask
move that the school committee approve and accept the attached MSBA program funding agreement, project number 202-406-7505, for the MSBA Accelerated Repair High School Roof Project, and in doing so, authorize the superintendent of schools to execute the document on behalf of the district and to bind the district to its terms.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. Anybody have any questions?
I think so.
Is there a discussion?
Has the financial stuff changed at all, or are we still where we were?
What do you mean? The actual
Have we
number?
gotten more detailed numbers?
We're still at the overall amount of 7.3 million. We're hoping to come in under that. Between, bids and change orders, we're hoping to be under that number by the time all is said and done.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Right, looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor? That is unanimous of the 4 members present, and the motion passes. Thank you for that, Eric. Okay,
This one's Vinny.
next up to Vinny.
I don't have a PowerPoint, so.
Oh, man.
So per Massachusetts General Law 71, Section 16A, a regional school district school committee is to appoint a district treasurer, and per our regional agreement, we do that annually. So tonight, I'm here to request the reappointment of Kevin Mers, our district treasurer, and Karina Warner, our assistant district treasurer.
Okay,
That was easy.
that's good. All right. Jen?
I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee reappoint Kevin Mers as our district treasurer and Karina Warner as our assistant district treasurer for fiscal year 2027.
Second.
Second by Amy. Anybody have any questions?
So even though this only accumulates to a .02 FTE, they really both do play a critical role. In our office, they kind of gather and distribute over $55 million annually and take care of all of our debt payments and documentation. and also work closely with the state in investment with our OPEB trust fund and our capital stabilization fund. So again, even though it isn't a bulk of our business office, they really do play a critical role in making sure we function correctly. Kevin has been with us, I think, 4 years now, and Karina, I believe, is on her 3rd year.
People have questions?
No.
All right. Looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor? Is unanimous of the 4 members present, and the motion passes. Thank you, Vinnie, and thank you to Kevin and Karina. Okay. Committee reports. Capital Finance?
We are scheduled to meet
Not next Monday,
next
the one after.
Monday, not
Monday.
I
next
think it's the
Monday.
one after that.
The one after, yep.
I'm sorry,
Monday after.
Monday after?
Yeah, the
The
15th.
15th?
the 15th, yeah,
Monday after next.
from 1 to 2.
Okay. Policy.
Policy, we need to schedule a meeting. I need to remind a member to tell me their availability.
Okay. We'll look forward to that email. Okay. Negotiations, we are meeting next to continue negotiating with the ESP union. We are meeting next on Tuesday, the 9th. Okay. Oh, we don't have a secretary report.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have a secretary report. Okay. I don't think I have anything to add, except I did want to note about graduation. I know several people were there. I just wanted to note that, I think Eric touched on this, but it was, to me, really remarkable that everyone that spoke really talked about the way that they felt connected to each other and the, I'm just going to stick with that, connectedness. And I just feel like that was really where we want to maybe tap into what we're doing right in that, because the world is feeling pretty disconnected. You read about it constantly, and yet it was really powerful to hear that that was a theme that ran throughout, and then to Eric's point about them all running together. So I'm a big fan of focusing on what you focus on grows. Let's focus on what did we do to create that connectedness, because that was pretty powerful. That was my 2 cents on that. Anybody have anything else?
No.
Okay. Topics for future meetings? No, because we have a lot of topics already coming. We are not going to have an executive session this evening. And you can
We're not?
discuss that with Eric.
Okay.
We
Email
are,
tomorrow morning.
we are not going to have that meeting today. So, all right.
Serious.
All right.
I move that we.
Oh, wait.
Not done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go.
No, go
Okay.
ahead. You can
Go ahead.
close the meeting.
I move that we close the school committee meeting at 8:18 PM.
Second.
Seconded by Amy. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? And we are adjourned at 8:18.